Happy Wednesday out there, Vol Nation. This is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. There's no basketball tonight. Tennessee's on a midweek bye, for lack of a better term. Baseball's off till Friday, but there is definitely some football coaching news that's been out there. I've not been able to get to that here the last few days when really the last week, I guess, when news come out Mike Eckler was going to Nebraska. And now you've got news of promotions. You have news of another hire as well. And then I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about there's a lot of coaches' contracts who expire after next season. And I think it's going to be really interesting to watch as well. But make sure you hit that like, that share, that subscribe. Thank you guys so much for your support on the road to 3,000 subs. A little slow going right now, but hopefully we can amp that up a little bit. But news come out that we've talked about him, Coach Chop, on here. Lavorne Harbin, he has really kind of been Tennessee. I would almost say their eighth recruiter over the last couple of years. A lot of your defensive ends, these Leos, as they say, are products of the effort of Coach Chop. Many guys have mentioned their relationship with Coach Chop and what he's done. Once Mike Eckler left, that gave Josh Heupel the opportunity to promote, and I think it was a well-deserved promotion as well. This dude's coached in numerous places along the line. He was a recruiting coordinator at Auburn at one point back around 2019. He's been a defensive line coach in numerous places as well. He will be the outside linebackers coach. And then Tennessee promotes Evan Crabtree. He was an assistant special teams coach last year under Mike Eckler. Said he was involved a lot in the kicking game. So he is promoted to special teams coordinator. And 28 years old, another promotion. Josh Heupel likes to do this. People criticize it. It is what it is. You call it what you want. But I think the other part of this is people should be pretty happy about. So he has been a graduate assistant. His story, he was a long snapper for Miami of Ohio. He's been a grad assistant here at Tennessee for a little bit as well. And again, he's been involved in the kicking game, the special teams. He moves up. I think it's a natural progression. But what I really liked in all this was they went out and hired John Bonamego. So John Bonamego has been around for a long time. He's been involved. He'll be the special teams assistant coach, and he's been involved in it with NFL teams for years, with Jacksonville, with Green Bay, New Orleans, Miami, Detroit, and the Rams. And at one point, too, he was Central Michigan's head coach around 2015 to 2018. That was his alma mater. So he coached there for 3 years. Then he went back to the NFL along the way. He brings a lot of experience. And I think, especially when you have a young guy, first team being a special teams coordinator in Crabtree, it makes a lot of sense. And it's a really good hire, in my opinion, that you add a veteran guy like Bonamego, who's been a head coach at one point, Central Michigan. I mean, we know Central Michigan, Brian Kelly, Butch Jones along the way there. You look at that. If I'm not mistaken, I think Bonamego may have taken over for Butch Jones. Actually, I could be wrong on that one. Actually, 2015. So that may not match up on it. So I may be wrong on that one. But there is those connections. That was a pretty good program at one point. Obviously, as it's produced. Kelly, we can say what we want. Butch Jones was close here. He was close. He got in his own way. Went to Alabama. He's doing things at Arkansas State. I mean, I don't know. He's making a little bit of progress there. I don't think Butch Jones I would take Butch Jones over Derek Dooley. Let's put it that way. I would take him over Jeremy Pruitt as well. That's kind of like being the dumbest, the smartest dumb kid, I guess you could say. But, it kind of is what it is in that regard. But I think these are solid hires. And again, in terms of, you promote within a guy who's familiar with it, but you bring a dude who's been around for years in it. Of course, like I said, Mike Eckler left to go to Nebraska. People's got mixed opinions on him. I've seen some refer to him as a cheerleader. I think Mike Eckler did a solid job here. I really do. He loved Tennessee. Along the way, it was said he wanted to get back out to, that's where his family's from, out around Nebraska. He wanted to get back out into there. So that worked out for him that he was able to go to Nebraska. And, I wish him best of luck. I watched the guy's social media post. His units, in my opinion, were pretty solid while he was here. I thought he made some mistakes last year, specifically in punt returner, having Squirrel White back, and then Drummond McCoy. It should have been Boo Carter from the get-go. I think we saw that. I think that was pretty well recognized. The other bits of news in this is Willie Martinez was on an expiring contract. Last 2 years, he's gotten 1-year extensions. This year, he gets a 2-year extension on it. I'd seen speculation, would Willie Martinez retire? Would they retain him? 2-year extension for him. To me, people are not giving Willie Martinez credit. I've seen people saying, well, Drummond McCoy was good because of talent, not because of Willie Martinez. Who's getting credit for Ricky Gibson, for Drummond McCoy, for Boo Carter? There was a lot of guys, in my opinion, in that secondary who made progress last year. We saw different corners, and, Jalen McMurray, I thought, was a guy who got better along the way. Yeah, we can sit here and say, well, the DBs don't get their heads turned around. I'd be curious for you guys that watch a whole lot of college football, how many times you probably see that around college football. What else are guys going to do when they get burned? It didn't happen often last year. It happened some. It stuck out more in the Ohio State game, but the problem was we put those corners on an island by just by just, our defensive line going after the quarterback. There were not many blitzes. When you have that good of receivers, to me, it was a solid core. It's a national championship winning quarterback in Will Howard, a guy who was good at Kansas State as well. You put that mix and put those guys on an island, what do you expect them to do, man, against that wide receiving core? But Martinez is back, and then strength and conditioning coach Kurt Schmidt is back on a 1-year deal as well. So that, I'm kind of curious on that. He's been with Heupel for a while. Is there anything to read into that? Now, what you're looking at next year could get really interesting. There are a lot of contracts that are up at the end of 2026. We know Tim Banks got an extension this offseason. We know Willie Martinez got an extension. Now you've got the announcements of Crabtree as special teams coordinator. You've got the announcement of Coach Chop moving up to the outside linebackers as well. Chop's multi-year. Crabtree, I saw this earlier. I think he's on a 2-year deal as well. You go through the coaching staff now. Offensively, Joey Halsley, Glenn Ellerby, Kelsey Pope, Alec Ablin are all on deals that expire at the end of next January at this point. Now, could you hear some extensions announced? Darrell Sims, too. Darrell Sims is up at the end of 2026. So just look at the offensive side of the ball. Right now, I wouldn't have a problem with Sims, and I would not have a problem with Ablin getting extensions. The other three, I think it's put up or get out time. I really do on it. I think Ellerby, Pope, and definitely Joey Halsley need to earn their next extension. If that offense looks this upcoming season like it did last year, Josh Heupel's got some tough decisions to make at the end of this year. On the defensive side of the ball, of course, Martinez is up 2 years. Banks was multi-year. Rodney Garner is up at the end of 2026. William Inge is up at the end of 2026. Based on what I've seen so far out of those two, I'd go ahead and extend them. Now, I'll be honest with you. I would go ahead and lock them down, give them multi-year extensions, lock them up, because those dudes, the linebackers, they were young last year. Once Keenan Pili went out, they fell off. I think you're going to see a big step from them this year. And then that defensive line was really good last year as well. I don't think you can argue that. Yeah, Georgia, Ohio State, that was just better offensive lines, more, for lack of a better term, more physical lines is what it was. So I would like to see Garner and William Inge extended. That extends your whole defensive staff. It keeps that continuity on a group that has continued to evolve. The other side, though, it's continued to evolve too, but not in a good way. The defense has evolved in a good way. The offense has evolved down, down, and down. Those three, again, Sims, based on what Dylan Sampson did, based on what your backups did, extending. Ablin, based on, I thought the tight ends were pretty good last year. He's recruiting really well at tight ends, extending. The other three, we're going to see. We're going to see. I think all units have a chance to be better, but will they? That's going to be the key question along the way. If those three don't get the job done, it's Josh Heupel's chance to go out and get significant upgrades. That if the improvement is not made next year, you have to go out and do it, or else Josh Heupel, you're sealing your own fate at that point. I'm not sitting here calling for Heupel's job by any means. Now, I really appreciate him turning the program around, but he's going to hit that point. If he has guys not getting the job done, you're going to have to make that tough decision. Do you keep these guys and it maybe lead to me losing my job? Or do I go ahead and make that change and upgrade and show that I want to be here long term? That's the question. But lots of coaching news and lots of potential coaching news to come as well. Again, no basketball content here midweek. They play again Saturday against Texas A&M. Baseball's back in action Friday. Be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4:30, 4 o'clock, 1 o'clock, barring that there's no weather alterations to the schedule as well. Make sure you check out my post game last night from UNC Asheville, Tennessee. A ridiculous night for Tennessee baseball. And make sure you check out the post game stuff from the weekend as well. Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. Like, share, subscribe. That's the thing to do on here. And make sure you check out the links in the descriptions for memberships and the Patreon to go to help support the channel. Or if you just want to say thanks, there is a super chat or super thanks option in the bottom right-hand corner. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Frank, House of Orange. Have a great evening. And it's always a great day to wear the orange.